The story behind Poppy Playtime is a strange one. A popular indie game that seemingly came out of nowhere, claims of plagiarism, an NFT scandal, and accusations of being a cash grab. There's darker stuff though. Allegedly, the people behind the game took advantage of young up-and-coming animators, resulting in one YouTuber checking themselves into a psychiatric facility. Obviously, some of the allegations in this video are pretty serious, so viewer discretion is advised. Also, note that all of these are just allegations, and I will be providing citations and quotes when applicable. A few hours ago, Mob Games, the company behind Poppy Playtime, announced that Mob Entertainment had partnered with Studio 71 to develop and produce a film based on Poppy Playtime. Unlike the FNAF film, I fully expect the Poppy Playtime movie to come out. Scott Cawthon cares a lot about his franchise and what is done with it. He stumbled before and he knows it. Scott went through at least 10 different scripts for the FNAF movie and likely many more. He wants it to be good, and as I've discussed, making it good is really difficult. Poppy Playtime gets compared to FNAF a lot, but they're fundamentally different franchises. Five Nights at Freddy's was an indie game created with no budget, while Scott Cawthon was working at Dollar General. It was his last-ditch effort in games before he'd likely have to go get some office software developer job like I have. However you feel about the FNAF series, it's undeniable that it started out as a true indie game. Poppy Playtime is a little different.
Very good use.
Between putting lore-critical information into pricey and environmentally hazardous NFTs, as well as the rapid and vast commercialization of the property, it feels like a cash grab to me. Mob Games, the people behind Poppy, presumably funded the whole project using substantial resources that they acquired through their incredibly popular animation YouTube channels. Enchanted Mob's channel has over 3.2 million subscribers, and they produce a staggering amount of content. Furthermore, they appear to run a network of other animation channels, including Zamination, which boasts over 4 million subscribers and in fact uploads the exact same videos as Enchanted Mob. Sure, they changed the titles and thumbnails, but these are the exact same videos, same length, same everything. I believe this is against YouTube's terms of service, and I think it's kind of nefarious. On one hand, publishing the same videos to two very popular channels gets you double the impressions that you'd get from a singular channel, but I suspect this might be even worse. Considering these Minecraft-style animations from the Poppy Playtime people are clearly targeted towards kids, I can't help but wonder if they're posting the exact same content with different titles and thumbnails for the sole purpose of tricking kids into watching a video that they've already seen. Again, YouTube considers these to be two completely separate videos, and it's very likely that someone who watches one will have the other suggested. This is a kind of grimy practice, sure, but it speaks more to the character of the mob than it does about Poppy Playtime. We're gonna do something special if we hit 100K, so please subscribe. One of their affiliated channels is 3A Display, which also produces these similar Minecraft-style videos that utilize the trendy characters of the day. I did some digging and uncovered that this channel was primarily the work of Faint Turnip and Isaac, the latter of whom would go on to apparently play a key role in the development of Poppy Playtime. I spoke with Faint Turnip, who explained how they ended up with Enchanted Mob's network. So I met Emob through their old Patreon Skype chat. I didn't really know them until I collaborated with another channel called IsaacX, and the video we made together started getting a significant amount of views. Both Isaac and I were in the Emob chat, and one day they posted our video and asked if we made it. We told them yes, and they started talking to us about making a new channel with them. Long story short, Isaac and I made 3A Display, with Emob as owner because neither Isaac nor I were 18 yet. For some reason at the time, these channels needed to be part of an MCN in order to monetize, and you needed to be 18 or older to do that, or whatever. 3A was owned and is still owned by Emob and was used as a quick cash grab for them. Each month, Emob, Isaac, and I would each get a third of what was earned on the channel. According to Turnip, he and Isaac did basically all the work, whilst Enchanted Mob collected a third of the channel's revenue. Turnip eventually got fed up and quit 3A Display. When I quit, I tried to find the contract because I wanted money owed to me, but when I opened the email the contract was in, it had been deleted. To be clear, while Isaac is the director of Poppy Playtime, everyone I spoke to while doing research for this video said that they're a cool person. Nobody has any problems with Isaac. I think it's important to remember that while Enchanted Mob and Zamination appear to be the people behind Poppy Playtime, the people who put most of the money up and the people who earn most of the reward, there are a lot of people working on the series now, and most of them are just regular, talented, hardworking people trying to make the best game they can. So while this video is very critical of Poppy and I don't support the franchise, it's important for people to understand that there are a lot of people involved and this story is only about a couple of them. So it looks like Enchanted Mob had a pattern of reaching out to these starstruck young animators, getting them to sign contracts that prohibited them from uploading to their own channels and having them work as part of Enchanted Mob's network. In exchange, the mob would take a portion of the channel's revenue, and it worked. I spoke to lots of people who were up-and-coming animators in that period, and according to them, if you weren't with Enchanted Mob, you weren't shit. After Poppy Playtime Chapter 1's release, a Twitter user named Ekrcoaster put forth claims that Poppy Playtime had been plagiarized from their indie horror game, VENGE. I'll be honest, when I first saw these claims, I basically just dismissed them outright. Yeah, the premise of the two games is really similar, and some of the character designs are alike, but it's not plagiarism. This childlike horror or twisted nostalgia aesthetic has become really popular in recent years. In particular, both of these games feel really derivative of Bendy and the Ink Machine, and it's well known that Coaster is a fan of Bendy. However, when you dig deeper into this story, things become a lot more suspicious, and I'll be honest, it makes Poppy Playtime and Mob Games look really bad. I spoke to Coaster extensively, and the following is their account of what occurred. I warn you, the following includes some potentially triggering topics, so please use your discretion. Like Faint Turnip, Coaster was a young, up-and-coming animator heavily inspired by the style of animation popularized by Enchanted Mob and Zamination. Coaster was also in this Patreon chat, and when their own animation took off on YouTube, E-Mob reached out. Coaster was ecstatic. E-Mob and Zam were like heroes of the animation community, and getting recognition from them was no small feat. According to Coaster, they negotiated for a bit to see if they could work together, but ultimately things didn't pan out. Coaster explained to me that the contract would have stipulated that they were no longer allowed to upload to their own YouTube channel, and instead could only upload to the channel created as part of Enchanted Mob's network. Coaster was a 15-year-old at the time, and they loved their channel more than anything. While they couldn't make money from it due to their use of copyrighted music, they still weren't willing to give it up. According to Coaster, E-Mob and Zam explained how he would never be able to afford a house or a car or make any sort of living in animation unless they signed up as part of the Enchanted Mob network. Coaster refused though, and no deal was made. According to Coaster, they tried to maintain a cordial relationship with Enchanted Mob and Zam in the wake of their failed negotiation. However, things did not go so well. Coaster claims that they were frequently the target of bullying and what sounds like harassment by the mob. Coaster claims someone made a render of one of his characters being sodomized and distributed it, which is, I mean, if that's true, and I have no reason to doubt Coaster, it's an incredibly messed up thing to do to a 15-year-old. Enchanted Mob and Zamination started a YouTube channel called Animation Sins. We all know what Sins videos are. It was Cinema Sins but for animation. I figured they'd punch up. You know, Sin Has Been Hotel, Sin Disney, Sin the giants of the animation world. But no, this channel sinned Coaster's independent animations multiple times. It almost feels like the whole channel was Enchanted Mob's way of getting back at animators who they felt wronged them. Coaster explained that when Animation Sins first started sinning their videos, they were trying to keep things cordial with Enchanted Mob, and so they claimed they wanted their video to be sinned. You know, a defense mechanism. Say you want to be roasted so that you can take it in good fun. However, after several videos, Coaster was no longer okay with it. Each video was really harsh on Coaster's animation, and they inevitably triggered what Coaster describes as hate mobs that would flood the comments of the original video, making fun of it and referencing the Animation Sins video. This ultimately resulted in Coaster checking themselves into a psychiatric facility. In the wake of this event, the latest video of sinning Coaster was apparently taken down, though it's since been put back up. There was some outcry, and the mob tried to smooth things over with a disclaimer telling people that these videos are supposed to be fun and informative. They also sinned an Enchanted Mob video, I guess as a way of making fun of themselves and again, trying to smooth things over. The Animation Sins channel was just too mean-spirited though, and it appears to have been abandoned. Coaster was driven out of the animation community entirely, harassed into giving up a hobby that they loved. They started working on their indie video game VENGE and tried to move on. The Enchanted Mob crew was aware of VENGE, and you can only imagine Coaster's shock when not long after, Poppy Playtime shows up and looks incredibly similar. As I said from the beginning, this isn't plagiarism. Poppy Playtime isn't plagiarized. They're similar, sure, but they aren't similar enough that someone could win a lawsuit or something like that. They're unique games that happen to share a very similar story and aesthetic. However, when you consider the history between Coaster and Enchanted Mob, one of the key people behind Poppy Playtime, the whole situation starts to look a lot more suspicious. The things Coaster told me about the way that Enchanted Mob operated were corroborated by Faint Turnip, who literally worked for them. So while these are just allegations and nothing is proven, Coaster is really credible and I have no reason to doubt anything that they've said. It almost looks like Enchanted Mob did deliberately make a very similar game to Coaster's, albeit with the vast resources available to them, as a way to sort of spite Coaster and punish them for not signing the contract with them. I get the sense that Enchanted Mob and Zamination felt like because they'd popularized these Minecraft-style animations, everyone else who found success using a similar style owed them and that they deserved a cut or whatever. Obviously, I don't know that for sure, but that's just the vibe I get. These are the people behind Poppy Playtime, and I don't want to support them. Again, I know there are a lot of people who work on Poppy Playtime. As mentioned before, even the people who have the biggest reasons not to like mob games made it clear that the director Isaac was a cool, friendly person who had nothing to do with any of this stuff. The same is true for most of the people working for mob games, and it's not fair to hold all of them accountable for the alleged actions of the people on top. However, with Enchanted Mob presumably being the primary beneficiary of Poppy Playtime's success, I can't in good conscience purchase any future chapters of the game or support these people in any way. I believe that they were put through hell by these people, and all while they were just a kid. And when you combine it with NFTs, the movies, the animated cartoons that they're double posting to YouTube, it just looks like a cash grab, and it's not something that I can support anymore. It's a shame because I'm sure Isaac and a lot of the other people working at Mob Games to bring Poppy Playtime to life really do care about the series and the game. I just don't think that the people on top do. They don't give me any reason to believe that they do based on their actions.